For my own healing, I really, really wanted to see Robert as a person and not as a monster. And so I decided that I really wanted to do a victim offender dialogue. I absolutely did think of him as a monster. I know that he was on meth that day, and I know that meth changes your brain chemistry, and that you do things that you maybe might not do otherwise. I understand all of that, but what was happening that day was so terrifying.
In a lot of ways, I felt like I owed it to the victims, and I owed it to myself, I guess. I knew that if I were to deny that process, I would always regret making that decision. I would ultimately feel that I missed out on a potentially positive opportunity. But I was scared.
The conversation it was really good. It was honest. It was straightforward. We even had lunch together, which he helped to prepare. But the mood in the room was a lot lighter after I told him to just, take that deep breath and know I wasn't there to beat him up. I think he was afraid that I was going to be there to beat him up. There was a lot of shame and a lot of guilt that he's been carrying around, and just being able to talk to me face to face and own all of that, I think was healing for him too. And one of the questions that I asked him that day, and it was a really hard question, I'm sure, was, how does it sit with you to know that if you'd actually had a weapon, you would have shot my husband and he might have been killed by you? He hung his head and he just sobbed. He was very, very ashamed of himself for that. He said, I have a really hard time imagining what I was like that day, because a lot of it, he blacked out from the drugs. So he doesn't have any doubt that he did everything that he did.
It just melted my heart. It was an overwhelming moment. I've thought a lot about that forgiveness. I understand it. I think we need I've thought a lot about this interaction. I think that forgiveness didn't mean letting me off the hook. In fact, it imposed all the more it bound me all the more to changing my life for the better, and to never, live as a person that would cause any harm to someone.
It's not just for you, but it's also for them. These are people. And it's like I told Robert, this is not the whole book. It's a chapter. And if we can help each other to heal, then it's worth it.